The Opus grinder's fine adjustment has always been a source of confusion for users, for reviewers alike. One of the big things that's come out on this is that we have our outer adjustment reel, we also have the macro one, we also have the inner one. One of the things that's come out is that when you do something like you say, hey, I'm on a 1.5, and what I'd really like to be is somewhere in between one of these steps. Well, the idea is that what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take this off. You're supposed to then go and use the micro adjustment, turn it just maybe one little tiny notch here, and you get to now have things that are in between your settings. All right, that's supposed to let you go and tweak it a little bit, and yet what people have found is that as you would adjust this knob, it doesn't actually move the burrs. Doesn't move them at all. So it didn't change anything. What the adjustment knob is doing is it's shifting the range that you have here. They talk about range extending. They talk about giving you microfine kinds of things. And what I want to show you here is exactly what's going on and the key little step that you may have been missing. So what they tell you to do is they tell you actually in the instructions now, they tell you to set it all the way up to 6. If you want to make a fine adjustment, you're down here on your espresso. You're like, I want to get in between these two notches here. And they tell me to shift it all the way up to 6 before I go do anything. No, I'm going to forget the number of clicks I had. Let me show you why they're telling you to do that. Right now, if you notice, I am nicely lining up so that every one of my notches lines up on here. Let me now go and put one fine adjustment on here. And if you notice, it's shifted this thing, and I'm no longer on there. I'm in between. I'm thinking I'm actually in between 1.5 and 1 3/4. No, I'm not. The burrs haven't moved. But ready for the magic? Now, go and shift this and shift it. Maybe have it go back and forth a little. Oh, wait a minute. I am now nicely actually back on the steps. So what they actually want you to do here, when they say, oh, head on over to 6, go and have your adjustment shifted over by whatever little bit. I'll add another micro adjustment in the same direction here. Now put it back on and now slide it back. You're now actually back to being on board here. 1 is a 1, that's 1 1/4. Everything is actually internally offset by the tiny bit that that the Fellow actually tells you. It's offset perfectly. We now know that my 1.5 here isn't actually 1.5, it's 1.5 with 2 little bits finer. The entire point is that you need to move this basically to get it to resync. Because all the little blue adjuster is doing is it's shifting your range by a tiny bit. It's sliding where those detents actually are in the big gear that's being adjusted. So you need to actually move it around a little bit. Move it around a little bit. It syncs up then just fine. And now then, I'm offset. My numbers actually line up. I don't have weird in between things. And it actually works really, really easily. The entire missing step is, after your fine adjustment, give it a little back and forth, and now it is perfectly clear.